Believe it or not, that perfect influencer that you're following might be nothing more than code. Meta's latest AI revolution is creating synthetic personalities that millions of people are falling for, and most don't even know it. By the end of this video, you'll discover the frightening truth about how deep this deception goes and what it means for the future of authentic human connection online. I'm Evan Goldstein. I'm a licensed professional engineer and a data scientist. I'm building AI Capitalist to talk to the leaders and the thinkers, like you, about navigating this new world of thinking machines. So picture this. You're scrolling through your social media and you hit on someone whose life looks straight out of a movie. Perfect pictures, vibrant personality, and they always know just what to say. They're chatting it up with thousands of followers, posting dreamy travel snapshots, and they seem like they're just ever present online. But here's the kicker. They're not even real. Welcome to the wild world of social media's next big thing, where some of Meta's top influencers are completely made up. Meta, which is the brains behind Facebook and Instagram, is diving headfirst into creating AI influencers to keep up with their competitors like TikTok and Snapchat in the fast-paced social media scene. By mixing AI entertainment with the usual social features, Meta is hoping to hook younger audiences who crave fresh and exciting ways to connect online. Now, these AI personalities are pretty impressive. They've got their own profiles, they have stunning photos, and they even have detailed backstories. And they can chat up with regular users like you and me. Meta has rolled out AI Studio, a tool that lets creators whip up custom AI chatbots to interact with their followers and answer questions. Now, crazy enough, there are already hundreds of thousands of these AI accounts floating around, but most of them are private for the time being. But here's where things get a little dicey. With these AI influencers popping up all over the place, we might end up in a world where a lot of what we see online is created by machines and not real people. So think about it. You like a gorgeous travel pic or you drop a nice comment, only to find out later that it's all computer generated. This leads to some very serious question about what's real and what's not in our online experiences. So opinions on the whole situation are split about 50-50. Some people think it's just how the internet evolves with technology, and a lot of other people are weirded out and worried about what it means for authenticity. The fear is that these perfect AI accounts might overshadow actual human beings, turning social platforms into robotic echo chambers. Now, this clash between new technology and genuine human connection is at the center of the discussion around AI influencers. So what's next for the whole thing? We don't know. As AI accounts become more common, we're going to see a lot more brand collaborations, fancy avatars, and polished content. And some people might actually embrace this new vibe, while others might lean toward platforms that focus more on real connections. Which, by the way, is why I always like to read what I write and tell you what I think myself. I think that there's a hunger for genuine human connection, and it's only going to get greater with all these fake personalities. Now, I can easily make an avatar of myself, write up a script, and read it to you perfectly on cue. But I think that there's just something lost when you're just not talking to a human being anymore, and you can know it. It gives a sense of the uncanny, a sense of something dis-ease and there's just something wrong with AI content right now. But that's just me. Whether Meta's new strategy reshapes how we interact online or if it's just a passing fad, AI influencers are now officially part of the social media scene. So the next time you stumble on a flawless social media account with epic sunset shots and perfectly crafted captions, take a second look. Are you witnessing someone's actual life or just having a chat with some fancy computer code? So the rise of AI influencers on Meta's platforms isn't just like another trend. It perfectly illustrates how technology can zoom way ahead of what society is ready for. As we try to wrap our heads around the presence of these artificial personalities, we're also grappling with a whole bunch of other technological advancements. Now, this back and forth between technological progress and how we adapt to it isn't new. It's been happening forever, from the early days of cell phones to today's AI boom. Now, looking back, we can see that society has always had a tough time figuring out the rules around new technology. Now we're dealing with an even bigger challenge. We're figuring out how to juggle a bunch of groundbreaking technologies all at once. Social media, cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and now AI systems like ChatGPT and Claude, and now we have these AI avatars. The super fast technological liftoff has led to what I'll call overlapping cultural lag, where society struggles to keep up with multiple technological shifts that are happening all at the same time. So let's take a trip down memory lane. You remember when cell phones got tiny enough that people were just strapping them under their belts and ladies were hanging them off their bags? We'd whip them out during dinner or sneak away for meetings just to take a call. It took us some time to figure out what the rules of cell phone etiquette even were. And then boom, smartphones hit the scene, and before we knew it, we had social media, cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and even AI like ChatGPT and Claude popping up everywhere. And all this technology came crashing into our lives so quickly, but cultural norms couldn't keep up, and it left us in a cultural mess. Some people even call it overlapping cultural lag. So why are we finding it so hard to keep up with all these fast-moving technologies? Now, for the companies that are hustling out these gadgets, it's a big hurdle for their business plans. And people are starting to find ways to dial back technology in their everyday lives. And that's a telltale sign of our times. And you can see this cultural lag in all sorts of trends, like the whole digital detox thing, the rise of digital wellness coaches, no phone zones in places like bars and restaurants, tech-free getaways, and buzzwords like touch grass. Some experts are calling this technology backlash. It's a big no thanks to the overload. Now, I get where they're coming from, but I think it's really just culture trying to catch up with all this technology and figure out how it all fits together. This whole idea of cultural lag has been around for nearly 100 years, thanks to an American sociologist named William Ogburn, who came up with the term back in 1922. Basically, he said that while technology drives society forward, how we react to all of that technology can slow things down. He pointed out that technology tends to progress way faster than our cultures, like our values, our ideas, and social rules. It moves faster than they can keep up. And honestly, that rings true for where we are today, especially since technology is advancing much faster than ever before in human history. Back in the day, whenever something new like railroads or radios or phones popped up, we actually had some time to adjust and figure out how to use them and integrate them into our day-to-day lives. But now, we're facing a lot of technological changes and cultural lags all at once. Some big shots in Silicon Valley, including the leaders of technology companies and venture capitalists, like to blame government red tape for slowing things down. But that's really only a small part of the picture. The bigger issue is how our culture is trying to keep up with all the new gadgets and figuring out how they fit into our lives. Culture has always had the final say on technology and society, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Now, I've got this theory about how cultures pick up new technology, and it's like how a city expands from its historic center outwards. Now, let's imagine our metaphorical city with a classic historic district as its core. This is where things like cars, phones, radios, and TVs have become such a part of our everyday lives that we barely even notice them anymore. Just like old cobblestone streets and century-old buildings. Change to these old-school staples take ages, decades, sometimes centuries, to ever happen. So next we move over to the civic center, outward from the core, where all of the formal parts of the city live, like the institutions and the regulations. This is where technology gets standardized and controlled, like zoning rules and building codes shaping how the city grows. Changing things here is like giving City Hall a makeover. It's super slow, and it takes years or even decades to sort out. Now, if we move a bit further out, we get to the established neighborhoods of the city, which are getting their groove on. Here, it's just like communities are communing with their own styles and traditions and their social norms, and daily habits start forming around technology. Changes in these areas, like neighborhood upgrades, usually take months to years to really settle in. Now, finally, at the edge of the city is the Frontier District, which is a buzzing spot where all of the new technology pops up first. It's a place where experimental shops where people are trying out cool new stuff or quickly embracing or ditching innovations as they figure out what works. Changes here can move lightning fast, sometimes just a few hours or days. Just like a city grows naturally from its historic core, technology has to move through all of these layers, from the experimental frontier to the historic center. The farther you go into the city, the longer it takes to make real changes, from quick shifts at the frontier to slow transformations in the historic heart. And on top of that, there's a bunch of other technologies zooming through these layers at different speeds, like genetic engineering, nanotech, blockchain, drones, all that stuff. All of this has led to what I like to call multi-speed cultural lag across different societies. What really adds to the mix these days are information technologies, like the internet and all of the gadgets that come with it. Unlike the earlier analog technologies, think books, radio, and those old telephones, We have the luxury of time and space to understand their role in our lives. Now, with digital information technology, we see countless people from various social and cultural backgrounds engaging in lively discussions about these technologies, often all at once. While this can be super exciting, it also makes the way that we adopt new technology a lot more complex. It's like a vibrant chorus of ideas and theories, concerns, joys, and emotions all blending together. On the bright side, technology can create awareness on a massive scale, which is fantastic. But it also means that culture can respond much more quickly, sometimes in surprising ways. Within the technology industry, success is often measured by reaching what's called the product-to-market fit, which essentially means that a product is embraced by the market and then it starts generating revenue and profit. With today's ease of creating software, a lot of technology companies are finding it difficult to gain traction in such a crowded space. Often, it's not that the market is unwelcoming, it's more about navigating cultural reactions and behaviors that could be at play. Each new version of technology brings its own lag as we try to find harmony with previous innovations. For example, new technology like generative AI begs for quick adoption and adjustment, while cultural acceptance, especially at an institutional level, takes a lot longer to catch up. What we have going on is this buildup of cultural lag and different layers of lag that just keeps stacking up. You've got issues from one part of society messing with other parts, like a domino effect that makes adapting to changes a real pain. Basically, social and cultural systems have to come up with ways to fit new technology into our lives. That would be rules, norms, and habits. And let's be real, that's just a huge task for tech companies, and it's not really even up to them, it's up to us. Throughout history, cultures have always managed to figure out how to adopt and tweak new technologies as changes come and go. If you feel that you're getting value from this video, I would encourage you to push the like button because it lets me know that I'm making content that you want to see and it helps spread it to others. Thank you. Cultures like technology, it's always shifting and evolving. We'll sort it out, no doubt about it. But what we're seeing now is a reaction to these new technologies, which is sparking fresh ways for us to handle technological change at lightning speed. It's like our immune system getting stronger and learning how to deal with this digital noise. We're starting to want technologies that work for us instead of bending over backward for them, especially when they feel like they might change who we are as people too much. We want technology to help us be the best versions of ourselves. Now, Meta's AI influencers aren't just a tech fad, they're actually a wake-up call about how far we've wandered from real human connections in the digital jungle. While the technology wizards in Silicon Valley are rushing to fill our feeds with all these fake personalities, it seems like we're finally starting to notice the downsides of too much technology in our lives. Just like we figured out that putting our phones away during meals and creating some device-free zones is a good idea, we're now at a point where we have to decide between real human relationships and the shiny allure of AI-made content. The rise of these digital influencers signals a big shift. We can either sit back and let our online experience get more synthetic, or we can push for technology that really focuses on what people need and value. How we react to AI influencers right now could totally shape whether tomorrow's digital world is filled with artificial perfection or if it's a space that celebrates genuine human connection. And I do think that there's going to be a generational divide here, as a lot of the under 20 crowd that I'm seeing is already engaged with a lot of AI personalities and is developing relationships with computing systems that can't relate back in reality. We need to make a stand now before we end up scrolling through a reality where we can't tell the difference between real creativity and cleverly written computer code.